mamas. I'm coming on to give you a visual demonstration of what was just discussed in the pressure system and posture section. When I break it down in a variety of ways, I think most people can understand what I'm talking about and start applying it to their day-to-day. Some need that written content, some need pictures, and some need this video to really dial it in and understand. I will say some of this is more complex, and if you're feeling very unsure and not quite feeling like you grasp this information, please reach out to us, or I would suggest reaching out to an exercise professional that has some training in postpartum recovery, or a yoga instructor that has some training in postpartum recovery, or of course a pelvic floor therapist would be able to help you with any of this content and understanding it as it relates to your body. Again, this is generalized information. It's not specific to any one person. So if you're unsure, seek out professional assistance in your area. Okay, so let's start talking about a normal, healthy pressure system relationship between the diaphragm and the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor, being down here, mirrors or does exactly what the diaphragm does. So at resting, here we are. Now I need to exhale, so my diaphragm needs to contract or flex and help push the air out of my lungs. As I do that, my pelvic floor should have a subtle lift. This hand movement is very exaggerated. In this standing position, I actually can't feel much of a lift with my pelvic floor. However, it is occurring. There is a subtle lifting. We call it more of like a buoyancy in the pelvic floor, whereas the diaphragm is very actively contracting and pushing the lungs up. Now with the inhale, the opposite occurs. They relax down. Now, in a separate section of this module, I go through a tuning into this feeling of this contracting and relaxing of your pelvic floor while ideally sitting on a yoga block or a pregnancy ball. Tune into that, practice that, listen to that several times. That may help you tune in and understand better what I'm talking about in this video. Again, that's an audio. Okay, so normal relationship, healthy relationship between our diaphragm and our pelvic floor is we inhale, they go down, exhale, they lift. Now, take it into the context of pregnancy or just an uncoordinated system. So this happens in men too. It's not just pregnancy that can cause this kind of flipping of the system. And when we're pregnant, so gain a lot of pressure through our abdomen, baby's taking up a lot of space, there's increased pressure. So most women still can kind of feel that up and down. But as soon as the baby comes out, you're going from being super pregnant to not so pregnant, not pregnant at all anymore. And a lot of women will comment on how like, oh my God, it's so gushy, like there's no muscle tension, and that's natural. That's what occurs after you give birth. But movement-wise, what can start to happen is mom, who's not tuned into the system, starts bracing outward with the exhale to get stability for movement. And we call that commonly is called a Valsalva maneuver. And weightlifters, powerlifters commonly do that to lift heavier weights. And a Valsalva maneuver is so that if you take my hands, Valsalva maneuver is this. Pelvic floor bulges down and diaphragm lifts. Now remember what I was showing you earlier, they should go together. Okay, so it's opposite motion. And what it looks like is you will see more of this outward bracing. So the Valsalva maneuver might look like, and you see this kind of bulging outward in my core. That is not a good sign that there's good things happening in your pelvic floor. Instead, what I cue my clients to do is blow before you go, which means exhale before you go. When you exhale though, I want you tucking in and up. So this is similar to when you're doing a Kegel. You're lifting up on the exhale. So core comes in, pelvic floor lifts. You do not need to be doing a Kegel every time you need to move. That is not necessary, but it's this contracting the abdominals inward. And then inhale, they relax, the tension goes away a bit. So we don't want to be walking around just tight through abdominals either. That's not healthy, that's not normal. That's going to create some dysfunction. We want this flow of movement. So inhaling, exhale. So it's not all belly breath, there's movement in my ribs. I'll do a forward version. So you see that it relaxes, it's not super tense. And exhale, it comes in, it contracts, it supports, it lifts. All right, so making sure and checking in early postpartum that you're connecting that. The best way is I go to pick up baby, I go to pick up car seat, I go to pick up a toy off the floor. So you're exhaling on the most forceful part of the movement. Okay, last part here. I want you to have a visual of how I cue my clients to set up for a mountain posture pose. This is something I think is really important, and it helps to bring your body awareness back to your posture. Am I aligned? So ideally with mountain posture, we're getting ears over shoulders, over ribs, over hips, over knees, over ankles, and we're all straight and aligned. A common area of difficulty here, few of them. First is your ribs. A lot of time mom's ribs are flared outward and they're going up, okay? They're shooting up. With your exhale, we want to draw them in, so they're wrapping in. Okay, that can take time and practice, and if you notice this huge rib flare, may need some assistance with an exercise professional or pelvic floor therapist. But if you're trying it, you're on the right track. So making sure the ribs, my ribs don't flare too much anymore, but they're not shooting up here, but they're tucking in. The next area is the hips, and I'll back up a little more so you're not sticking out your booty. That causes my ribs to flare up. You're not tucking your booty under. That makes my hips be malaligned. So my pubic bone is in front of my ASIS, and I'm losing my booty. I want my booty. So align pubic bone and ASIS, that sticky outy bones, on the same plane here. My butt comes out a little. Next area, moms, sometimes if you have tight hip flexor, your knees, I have to back way up, are gonna be kind of bent. Okay, we don't want them locked, we want them just straight. And then weight in your heels. A lot of moms tend to lean, so I feel like I'm all aligned, but notice I'm on this angle. Weight in my heels. So for mountain posture, I'm aligning my feet parallel. My knees are not bent, they're not locked, they're just unlocked. And then I do this little trick with my knees. So from my hips, I'm gonna contract my glutes. I pull my knees out. If I give you a closer side view of that, so this is not pulling my knees out, and this is, notice my glutes went boop, glute activation. Super important in postpartum because your glutes shut down during pregnancy in many moms. Okay, feet aligned, feet parallel, facing straight ahead, not out, not in. Knees unlocked but not bent. Knees pulling out, feeling the glutes activate. Checking my hip alignment. I always just check in with my pubic bone and ASIS. Nice little curve in my spine. Okay, I'm aligned, right? I look great. Nope, I'm not standing up straight. My vertebrae are on each other. They're not pushing apart. So when I grow tall, keep everything from hips down without moving. Notice I just gained a little height, and you see a little more tone in my stomach. I'm standing up straight. Right? Roll my shoulders open. I'm not hiking them back. None of this. It's going to flare your ribs. Just a subtle down and back. And then looking forward, I want ears over shoulders, making sure we're not staying in a gooseneck posture and we're not overly shoving it back. Natural, comfortable, aligned. So it can be helpful to have someone take a picture of you. You can see a lot more when you look at a picture from both the front view and the side view. So you might have everything perfect, but then you take the picture and you notice, whoa, I'm super on my toes because I'm leaning forward. Okay, I'm gonna bring it back on my heels. All right, I'll run through that one more time real quick, starting from your feet. Parallel, knees unlocked but not bent. Knees pull apart, I feel my glutes activate. Check my hips, whoop, I was a little push forward. All right, I'm fixed now. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, roll my shoulders. Hands, palms can go forward, and just checking my neck. Here we go, and it's really active. I feel my muscles, my core working, my glutes working. I feel my abs engaged. I feel my chest open. I feel like I can take nice, great, big, deep breaths. Do that a couple times a day, checking in with your alignment, where you are in space. It takes practice. I would not expect most moms to get this in the first try. It may take a few weeks, but keep coming back to it, checking in that you're getting pressure through an exhale of tucking in and lifting rather than pushing down and pushing out. All right, if you have any questions, this is complicated stuff, so please feel free to reach out to me, connect on our coffee hour time with any questions. I'm happy to answer them. And if you're looking at this at a later time, please reach out to me or connect with a pelvic floor therapist in your community or an exercise professional who has training in postpartum exercise. I hope you found this helpful, and thank you so much for watching.